Hi, and welcome to the Kelly Kitley Podcast, America's Social Worker Unfiltered, where every week I have hopeful, honest, and deeply human conversations with changemakers. And today I am so excited to introduce you to Heather Lowe, otherwise known as Ditch the Drink. She is the founder and owner of Ditch the Drink. She provides one-on-one coaching, podcasting, corporate speaking. She's a blogger. She's a mistress connector. And I am just so excited to have you here to share your story and to provide resources for listeners. So thank you for saying yes.
Awesome. Yes, thank you. I feel like there's few people that match your energy in the world, but Kelly, you are one of them. So this is great to be on a podcast with you, and it's our second time because you were on mine. So it feels kind of cool to be on the other side of the microphone this time.
Yeah, and the collaboration, I just want to
Yeah.
tell listeners that a mutual friend connected us to do an event together. And I was showcasing the film, and you were the MC. And if you look at anything that you post, it is just bright and clean and lively. And you are a woman who just loves a life in sobriety. And I wanted to share that with people.
Yeah. Thank you. I do. I do. Like you though, like my dad was a popular bartender, right? And I was a party girl and it was my identity and it was my family and I was born and raised in Wisconsin. So sobriety came as a surprise to me
Mhm.
and I resisted it for a long time. The stigma of what I thought sobriety meant or what an alcoholic was, or trying not to be an alcoholic, to be honest. If I kept drinking, and my drinking looked pretty normal most of the time. I drank for 30 years and most of it looked pretty normal. So,
Can you qualify
um,
normal?
like what everybody else was doing, right?
Sure. So socially
Yeah,
drinking, you weren't drinking
right,
in the morning, you weren't fired from a job,
right,
this idea of what people think somebody with a drinking problem
right. So
has
that
for
made it,
years.
hard to question. Why would I question? Because there was only one narrative, a rock bottom narrative, and that's why you quit. And if you don't get there, you keep drinking. Keeping drinking kept me from being an alcoholic. Alcoholics quit drinking, in my mind. And
Hmm.
being an alcoholic was a failure in my mind. So I didn't want that, so I kept drinking. So, anyways, I knew alcohol was an issue for me from the first sip. I knew I liked it more than most. I knew it lit up my brain in a way that gave me relief. And so I was at a young age, I could find relief outside myself. And I knew that was a problem, but I didn't want to face it, right, for a long time. And because things looked seemingly normal, it was a hard thing to question. So all that to say is I love sobriety. I am living the dream over here, but if somebody is listening to this and questioning or on the fence or curious or unsure about it, I was there too. So I can understand that for sure.
And in your coaching, you provide a non-judgmental, non-shaming, safe space for women to unpack maybe
Yeah.
questions that they have that they don't feel comfortable talking to somebody else about, and maybe look at 12-step meetings as like a scary place to go, or for that
Mhm.
idea of, having to hit rock bottom to go to those meetings. And I think
Yeah.
what's so amazing about how we connected is you really brought me into this world because I came in
Yeah.
as an Alcoholics Anonymous member. And
Yeah.
I remember when we had this first event together at a
Yeah.
non-alcoholic bar,
Yeah.
Go Brewing. And you got a beer, non-alcoholic. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I have never
That's
had one
against
of
the
those
rules,
before.
right? Yeah. And it can be a tool for some people and it can be a trigger for some people. So AA has saved the lives of people that I love,
Mhm.
right? It's a great resource. And also it's not for everybody. And depending on your group or the people that you meet or whatever, there's not a one size fits all because we all get into this mess in our own way and there's multiple ways out of it too. So yeah, you have been sober longer than me, and so you used the tools and resources that were available at that time,
Mhm.
and now it has expanded, and there is so much more.
Well, and I have the chills because you explored your drinking
Yeah,
with a therapist, correct? She was a social
yeah,
worker from what I remember.
Yeah. Well, I have a social work degree myself.
Right?
Yeah. So it was a therapist, but it's going to give therapy a bad name. So
No, but I think that
yeah.
people do have,
Yeah.
it's like buying a car, right? You got to
Right.
test drive a couple of them,
Right. I
take them
went
for a
to a
spin.
therapist who was specific to substance use, right? Like was specialized in substance use.
Sure.
And I told her I thought I had a drinking problem and I was so anxious and all this stuff. And she told me I had an anxiety problem. I did not have a drinking problem. She put me on anti-anxiety meds and told me I could keep drinking. She said, I think she was working on a harm reduction model with me
Sure.
and thought my kids shouldn't see me drink. That would be the worst thing that happened because I didn't drive. I wasn't hurting myself or others in a physical
Sure.
way that you could see. You know, I wasn't
Mhm.
punching anybody or screaming things or anything like that. So she suggested I drink in my closet. Literally, I have a bonus room off my primary bedroom, which is a big closet. So she said, put the wine in there, drink in there, don't let the kids see, take my anti-anxiety meds. I'm just a stressed out mom. And she said, I know your head is shaking because you're like, no, 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 no. Right?
And
But
I
she said,
mean, yeah,
I
this
would
was
need
how
like,
many years ago? 9 years
yeah,
ago?
so like 9 years ago.
Okay.
And she said, I would need like hours and hours at the spa for the amount of relaxation that I would get from like a glass of wine that hits in 20 minutes, right? That never felt right to me because I always knew that anxiety was connected to the alcohol. It wasn't separate from it. Obviously, the anxiety afterwards, the
Sure.
3 a.m. wake up, heart pounding, the shame,
Hmm.
you know, the
Hmm.
the physical, what was happening to my body
Hmm.
with after effects of drinking, but also like the behavior of drinking, you know, or over drinking or breaking promises to myself. That all creates anxiety. And
Right.
so
Right.
um, I laugh now because when I got sober, I bought a very expensive bougie gym membership. And now in early sobriety, I spent Friday nights, Saturday nights on the treadmill. I had nothing to do, no one to do anything with. I was just
Uh-huh.
trying to get out of the house and save myself, right? And it has a sauna and it has a steam room and it has a hot tub and a shower and it has a spa. And I'm like, you know what? She was right. I do need hours and hours at the spa. And but this doesn't destroy me or my family. So now I go to the spa all the time. That is part of my routine, you know? And so, but I don't need to drink wine. You know,
Sure.
I definitely don't need to drink wine. So
But
yeah,
you
there's a
did,
bad therapist story.
I know, and unfortunately, people have them,
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that therapists have come a long way too with what our
Yeah.
understanding was. I
Yeah.
mean, I studied addiction in graduate school, and I still was
Yeah.
like, I don't have any of those qualifiers. I'm fine. So
Right.
I think collectively, what a lot of us are doing are trying to educate people so they understand the spectrum, right? And is
Yeah.
this working for me or is this not? And I
Yeah.
know that you had bouts of dry
Yeah.
time or not drinking,
Yeah.
whatever. I know we use different language too.
Yeah.
But what was that like before you ended up giving it up completely? Because a lot of
Yeah.
us have been there trying to manage
Yeah, for
when people
sure.
are drinking for a really long time
Yeah.
before we give it up.
So for 3 years, I did these like on-off drinking experiments. Mind you, never to quit drinking, but always to keep alcohol in my life to prove, see, I can give it up for 50 days, 100 days, 5 months one time, right? And if I can give it up, then I don't really have to give it up,
Hmm.
you know, was kind of the thing. And this is how I welcome people into the Ditch the Drink program too. You don't have to know that you want to quit drinking. It's okay to experiment. And in fact, drinking less led me to drinking none. So that's an okay thing to experiment with. And I think there is a message out there that like you have to know, you have to be ready. I put that in quotes like you don't have to be ready to meet with a coach or a therapist. Like meet with somebody and start exploring. Get some guidance in your experiment, right? Get some mindset, get some things to question, grow your own awareness, get some things to pay attention to.
Hmm.
So what I couldn't deny during those sober experiments was I felt better when my head hit the pillow sober. I felt proud of myself. I liked keeping my promises. I felt more aligned with my intuition and who I really was when I wasn't drinking, even though this alcohol party girl had been such a part of my personality. It felt like actually this feels more clear. This feels more honest. And it was hard and I was wobbly and shaky and scared and stuff. And I
Mhm.
didn't decide, okay, forever, you know.
Sure.
But honestly, it was like a little seed that grew and
Mhm.
grew and grew. And eventually I just saw where my life was headed if I kept drinking. So that's the other thing. My drinking escalated at the end. I had 3 deaths in a row. I did 3 eulogies in 3 years. I had no coping skills. I never had had coping skills in my whole life besides alcohol.
Mhm.
It was there for good days and bad.
Mhm.
Once I found that, I didn't need anything else. So my drinking did get ugly at the end. But for most of my drinking career, right, it
Sure.
was in the parameters of what seemed normal. But
Okay.
it was escalating, and I don't doubt it would have killed me if I stayed on that path, without a doubt. The beautiful thing is, I'll never know what was around that corner. I quit before I
Yeah.
turned the corner, before a diagnosis
Yeah.
came, before a tragedy came, before I
Mhm.
got in a car, fell down the stairs, or, who knows what would have happened, or
Mhm.
lost my kids or my marriage, but I was on path for that for sure.
Okay.
So even though it was fancy suburban gray area
Mhm.
drinking, I was headed towards destruction for sure.
Sure. So what was it? Because you have developed this whole program for women, um, I think just women, right? Or do you
Yeah,
have, okay.
yeah,
And they can read, they can listen, they can talk one-on-one with you. I mean, there are so many resources. And you founded Ditch the Drink not
yeah,
that long after you stopped drinking. So
yeah,
were these things that you felt helpful in your own journey to stop drinking? Did you read all the Quit Lit and listen to all the podcasts? And
yeah,
what was that
yeah,
like?
definitely. So I was 1 year alcohol free.
Hmm.
And I was in between jobs. And again, I had been selling HR solutions, but my degree was in social work. And so it felt like a return to self, really, that I wanted to help women with a new way to get freedom from alcohol. And I wanted to share what I did, what worked for me, right? And help people curate something that could work with them using different anchors than I had heard about before,
Hmm.
movement and connection and spirituality and nature and all these other things. So I put together everything I learned into a digital course, and I started with that. And I was about to get jobs that I didn't want.
Hmm.
So I said to my husband, I'm going to just try to do this. He's like, do you think you can make $1 at it? And I said, I don't know because I've never done it before. So my mom was the first person to sign up for my first course. Yes. And then I got certified as a certified professional recovery coach, certified professional life coach. I have a certificate of well-being from Yale University and law of attraction. And I just got myself certified before I started working with people one-on-one.
Uh-huh.
But then, yeah, I was just a newbie myself, but I just went for it. I went all in and I immediately saw results with my clients that it was working. And it's connection, right? They had connection and some guidance.
Hmm.
And then I was trained in neuroscience and transformation, behavior change, and all that good stuff. So it has grown from there. Now I have a membership community that's for women. I have an app. We do meetings a couple times a week. There's the 24/7 check-in. There's recordings and master classes and resources and
Hmm.
yeah, a weekly newsletter. There's a private podcast for people just getting started. There's a blog. The blog is now 7 years old. So there's a search bar, search by whatever you want, travel, anxiety, parenting. You'll find it. That's what helped me get sober was other people's stories and
Yes.
experiences. There
Hmm.
wasn't really podcasts at that time.
Hmm.
But now there's so many good books and good podcasts. And I say do it all, right? Do it all. But the community was the thing that I was resistive to because I just didn't feel like a joiner, and I felt like I had friends, and
Uh-huh.
so people were weird. I didn't really want to like
Sure.
be part of it. So that was like a lagging indicator for me. But our mutual friend that introduced us was one of the first people that just kept demanding, like, I think you'll like this. Come, come, come. And then I finally did.
Hmm.
And I realized, okay, maybe you can do sobriety on your own, but it's so much better with people that get it.
Hmm.
And you have to try a couple times. Like I was doing like sober meetups all by myself, just putting it on Evite and just putting up a little sign in a Panera. Like I was trying to make friends, you know.
This is how AA started,
Yeah, I'm like anybody out there trying to quit drinking like
Yes.
me. But now I have friends, real friends, and the best friends. And Connection isn't on like shared escape, it's on presence together, and it's more honest and it's more beautiful. And there's nothing like it. And my community too, my meetings, they move me. It's like one of my clients said, it's like mini TED Talks. Like we go around
Oh,
and share and like
sure.
people share what they're overcoming or what they've done. And it's just
Mhm.
so beautiful. I feel like I want to pay them to be a witness to this story because it's so beautiful. So I do recommend grab a community, find a community, and you can try. Like mine's free. First 7 days are free. So if it's not for you, get out and try another one. No
Oh my
problem.
gosh.
But get out there, get support. You don't have to know if you want to quit drinking. It's okay to explore and
Mhm.
find a leader or a guide that has that philosophy with you, right?
Mhm.
That you can try to drink less or have some time off and just let yourself evaluate where you're at before you make decisions.
Mhm.
And like my one-on-one is 90 days. And I always say, let like day 89 decide what you're going to do next, right? Because you change in the process. So you don't have to know what you're going to do after this. Like, let's do this. And then when you get there, let that person decide what you want to do next. And that's how my clients are now celebrating 7 years sober, you know?
Which is amazing because I think one of the most daunting experiences for people is how am I going to give up alcohol for the rest of my life? And
Yeah.
nobody wants to sign up for that when they're just
No.
dipping their toe in. So it's diagnostic in and of itself.
Yeah.
The question I have, because you're launching Sober Spring on
Yeah.
April 1st, right?
Yeah.
Which is also the beginning of Alcohol Awareness Month. So,
Yes.
I know that
What a perfect time.
it's perfect timing, whether it's dry January, sober
Yeah.
October, dry July.
Yeah.
I know you put lots of information out there during those specific times for people
Yeah.
to practice. But I am curious to know from a therapist to a coach,
Yeah.
when do you recognize maybe somebody needs a higher level of care?
Yeah.
In terms of maybe seeing a therapist, getting a diagnosis, potentially needing detox or medication.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is your
That's a great question. Yeah, that's a great question. And because I'm virtual, my clients are international, it can be tricky because it's what somebody tells me and I'm not in person evaluating them,
sure?
right? But because I have a background in social work, I understand the clinical side because
Mhm.
I did that. I actually worked in a halfway house with criminal women that used drugs and alcohol. So I have that awareness and I know when coaching is appropriate and when it's not.
Sure.
And sometimes a lot of my clients have a therapist and a coach,
Hmm.
right? Both of
Hmm.
us, because it's doing different things.
Yes.
Sometimes I have a call with people and I ask them what they're looking for, what their goals are. And if they're looking to like reprocess past trauma, that's not the role of a coach. That would be a therapist and I would refer them on.
Okay.
So there's that. And then when we talk about drinking, there's always some people start with me, and then it becomes evident that they do need a different level of care.
Hmm.
And so then I help them find resources, right? Then we're researching intensive outpatient programs, inpatient programs, what type of situation would be best for them and or detox. I always educate everybody on pause, post-acute withdrawal syndrome and things to look out for, especially in their first few weeks of working with me to make sure that it's safe. So I do a complimentary call with everybody, but it continues. The evaluation continues as we're working together. And if there's a point that they need more or their drinking has changed, I'm happy to refer.
Oh my gosh. And you have two beautiful daughters that you travel with and have
Yeah,
these experiences with, and
yeah,
a husband who drinks, but not
yeah.
problematically. Uh,
No, and not around me,
Still does not drink
which I
alone.
freaking love, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
we were party people together, right? So I was like, man, he's going to lose his party girl wife. But in the beginning, I said, can you just not drink with me for like the first week or two? And he was so happy to have some direction because he wanted to help
Hmm.
and he didn't know how and he didn't know what to do. And he was like, yes, give me something, tell me what to do. Like I don't know anything about this, but I want to help. So he didn't, and he continues not to. And I don't trust me, I don't tell him what to do, and he doesn't tell me what to do. In fact, like one of my taglines is like, "You're not my dad, don't tell me what to do." Right? Like he knows better, and we're very independent. Like we're not that couple that's
Hmm.
we have our own life, our own goals, all that stuff. So he's his
Yeah.
own person, right?
Uh-huh.
So he can do whatever he wants, and he continues to choose not to drink around me, and I love it. And it's hard
Wow.
to receive that.
Uh-huh.
Honestly,
Mhm.
it was hard at first because I don't want to make him not drink, or I don't want to ruin his buzz killer. I don't want to, but I love it because we're in solidarity then. And it's great. And now for our family, like we're having more fun than anybody I know. And we're in Mexico and we're in the pools and we're at concerts and we're front row and we're just like having a blast, and alcohol is not part of it at all. And I
Wow.
love what that teaches my kids, you know?
And so what, because for me, that was a hard transition and continues to be. I have
Yeah.
4 teenagers. Our second one is going to be in college, and it's a whole new experiential world. And,
Yeah.
trying not to project my own stuff onto them
Yeah.
and let them have their own experience. But
Yeah.
just from talking to you one on one when we went on that walk together,
Okay.
um, one of your daughters does not drink at all. Do I remember that correctly? Or doesn't drink?
No, my oldest just turned 21. She had a big party, and the little one is experimenting, having
Yeah.
her own. They're not that into it though. They're not the same as me, to be honest.
Okay.
They don't, it's just, it doesn't play the role that it did for me. And they like things more. They have more than alcohol,
Mm.
right? Like I
Yes.
was small town Wisconsin and it's all I knew. It's like they go out and party and they have a good time, but they have so many other things to do. It's not so central.
Hmm.
And they get to have their own experience.
Yeah.
They totally do. And I wondered how celebrating that 21st birthday was going to feel.
Yeah.
And it was just beautiful. I mean, she loves and respects me. Her friends celebrate and respect me.
Oh,
And I love her. And she doesn't have to do what I do. She gets to have her own life and make her own decisions.
wow.
And it wasn't about alcohol, it was just about love and celebration. And yes, there was alcohol. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's okay with me. She had a bottle of like champagne that was decorated beautiful, and I brought a bottle of alcohol-free champagne that was decorated beautiful, and we took our picture together. So like we can celebrate both of our choices and both of these milestones, right?
Yeah.
Age 21 for her
Yeah.
and sobriety for me,
Oh my
and it
gosh.
doesn't have to come between us. So I'm proud of the way we've been able to navigate that,
Mm.
honestly. And they've seen me. They're my biggest cheerleaders. Like they're doing what they want for themselves and they're young and experimenting and exploring as they can and should. And they still support me being me and the things that I do. They're my biggest cheerleaders and they are proud, proud, proud of me. So I think that's a great thing to share too.
That is wonderful. And how old were they when you stopped drinking?
So the older one was 13 and the younger one was 9.
Wow. So they've grown into young adults
Yeah.
through the journey. Like everybody's evolving and
Yeah.
changing through
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
process. Oh my gosh, that is beautiful, Heather.
Yeah, we grow together. It's cool. So the other weekend, I was with my older one, and we had a drink at a rooftop bar before we went to a concert. And it was like funny because she could order a drink legally for the
Yeah.
first time, and they had alcohol-free wine, which I was delighted about. So there we were having our drinks, and just the irony of like my daughter is having alcohol and I'm not. But she asked, Mom, is it okay if I get a drink? Of course it is. Like you're
Mm,
21, you get to make all your own choices, you
sure.
know? But the fact that she asks is sweet and thoughtful, and it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me at all.
Mm,
So, yeah, you get to grow and evolve together. And any questions, like things would keep me up at night, like going to Paris, which I've now done sober, like going to sorority mom's weekend, which I've
sure.
now done sober.
Hmm.
How do I go to a game day in a frat house
Hmm.
sober? All those things in the beginning could bring you back to drinking,
Hmm.
right? And they kept me up at night too.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I've navigated all those things. Sometimes it was clumsy, but mostly it's been pretty beautiful. So it's okay. Again, let your future self handle those things.
Mhm.
Just get some freedom from alcohol under your belt and start to see how that feels to you.
And speaking of transitions, you're getting ready to celebrate a huge milestone
Yes.
as you turn 50 next week.
Isn't that awesome?
How do you feel about it? I can't wait.
I just feel like I'm just so happy to be here, honestly. And somebody was like, oh, wow, that's a way. I'm like, I don't know. I've had a lot of my friends pass really young.
Mm,
So I feel just happy to be here. I'm happy that my kids are grown. They've had a mom all this time. I feel good. I am happy to be here. I love life. I love my life. I'm having an adventure.
mm,
It will continue. And again, we never know what's around the corner for us. So I'm just delighted to be here. And 50 is awesome. I think it's awesome. I love it because it's a little bit of letting go of some things in in your youth that are okay. And
Mhm,
maybe it is a time to get serious on your dreams and goals, and that's okay.
mhm,
And appreciate everything you have because aging happens to all of us, right? And I'm watching my parents
mhm.
age and you lose some physical abilities,
Yeah.
and that's going to happen to everyone. There's no preventing that.
Mhm.
Also, it might be the halfway point for me. I have a grandma that lived to 102, so who just passed away last year. So we will see, but
Ah,
over the hill, that's fine. That's why it's all downhill from here. This is like a glide now, right?
the
I feel like the
glide.
first half of my life was
Uh-huh.
surviving,
Uh-huh.
and the second half is like undoing all those things I did to survive to bring myself inner peace, which I have. I feel total inner peace and excitement, and 50 is cool.
Well, and I hear that in speaking with you, and whether people are listening or watching, there's a saying that I heard early in my journey that was find people who have something that you want
Yeah,
in terms of living a life
yeah.
of sobriety or recovery, and you do that, and I think that it is attractive
Mm.
to see that you can live this beautiful life without alcohol, when there was a time where we both thought, like, how do you go to your first wedding without alcohol? How do you go on vacation? How are you in a marriage when one person drinks and one person
Yeah.
doesn't, which is similar for us as well. So the last thing I have to ask you, because you've talked a little bit about a book in your future, and I wonder if that is part of maybe your next chapter. Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah. I'm like, Kelly, like every good writer, I am distracting myself doing everything I possibly can
You're gonna
to
go
not write
climb
a
another
book. I'm
mountain,
doing a
or
keynote speech. I'm, starting doing another podcast. I'm doing another program. I'm trying to not write the book. Distraction is, I mean, every writer knows that we do all the things we can. But yeah, I do love to write. I
Mhm.
do have a story to share. Um, I'm always writing, first of all. And
Yeah.
so, will it get together in a book and will it be published? How and when and all that good stuff will remain to be seen. But yeah, it is on the list. So thank you for the nudge. And you'll be the first to know,
Oh,
of
good, good,
course.
good, good.
You'll be on the early reader list when it comes out. But I don't have an exact plan right now. I'm all about flow, living in flow state. You know what I mean? And doing the things that bring me to flow state. So time in nature,
Hmm.
being present, I guess just being 100% present with whatever I'm doing and the things that make me feel most like me. So when and if that works for writing, I'm in it. And also, I'm not on a deadline. I'm not whipping myself around the track to get something done or to force
Yeah.
something out or for some sort of business goal or anything like that.
Hmm.
It's not that for me.
Hmm.
It's a flow state for me. So I'm gonna keep being in flow state, and then if that gets on paper and gets published, that will be great.
Oh my gosh. That is a great mindset to be in. And look, you write your story through your Instagram page,
Oh yeah.
through the social media.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't think
always
people
writing my
really read
story.
books anymore anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I do because I'm old fashioned, but you're right. Most people don't. Yeah, my story, you're right. Social media is a way to document your
Mhm,
story, right?
mhm.
And your micro stories as we
Yeah.
go. So, yeah.
So what's the language you use? Because when I added chapters to this second edition, that was tricky for me because some people identify as an alcoholic, some people identify as a gray area drinker, some people identify as alcohol free, and I don't need a label, but I think sometimes people try to find language that feels
Yeah.
comfortable to them that also supports their journey. So I'm
Yeah.
just curious what you teach and explore with people, how you identify.
Yeah. To each their own is how I support people. And I consider myself sober, but I have a lot of clients that don't like that term. And I understand it because it sounds like somber or it sounds like boring or it's sad or anybody that uses any other substances, what does that mean, besides alcohol? So sober can be a word that really turns people off,
Mm,
but it's a word that has never turned me off. I like it and I use it. So that's what I use for myself.
okay.
You know what's tricky I don't call myself an alcoholic.
Mhm.
If you want to, like, that's fine. And the truth is, yeah, I probably am, but also that's not a medical definition.
Yeah,
So, and
right.
it's a
Yeah,
self-diagnosis. So,
yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, you get the idea, sure. So, but I don't like it. I
Yeah.
don't like that word, but
Mhm.
I guess you could call me that if you wanted it. It wouldn't hurt me. It would be a way to describe me, I suppose, to somebody, which is fine. Just free from alcohol,
Free from
just free. I like to say liberate yourself from alcohol and insource your bliss. Sobriety to me means I don't look for relief outside myself,
Mm-hmm.
in any way.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm feeling itchy and uncomfortable, as I am often, I figure out a way to self-soothe and self-regulate internally, versus externally. So that's what it means to me. The word that is actually really tricky for me, Kelly, is recovery. Because I also don't consider myself in recovery but I'm a recovery coach and I'm living in recovery. I'm working a program, I guess you would say, just by
Mm-hmm.
being the leader of Ditch the
Mm-hmm.
Drink,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But recovery is a tricky word for me. Sometimes it means going back to who you were, like before you started
Mm-hmm.
circumstances. And I'm not going back to 12 years old. So for some people, it means like I'm continuing, I'm recovered, I've overcome the things that have hurt me, and I'm continuing on a healing journey,
Sure.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that
Mm-hmm.
is true. But the word recovery in itself can kind of be a tricky one. And I'm not sure I identify with it
Okay.
necessarily, even though, yeah, I'm in recovery, I'm a recovery
Sure.
coach, all
Sure.
those things.
Well, and look, I mean, and then there's, I'll have other people on the podcast who will talk about sober for some people, mostly old timers, is like you're white knuckling it or you just don't drink,
Oh, yeah,
and the recovery
yeah,
piece is living a connected life as
yes,
you are and
right.
finding different, coping mechanisms and things like
Yeah,
look, I think we've come a long way in the
yeah,
trajectory of alcohol use, and really it comes down to, in my opinion, how somebody feels comfortable identifying or not. And
yeah.
we don't need to label anybody.
You create your own language, whatever works for you, right? Like I said, there's so many ways into it, there's so many ways out of it. You can define yourself however you want. The interesting thing to me is even my clients will ask, like, when did you get to this point where where you don't want alcohol or don't crave or something like that. And I'm not going to say that a craving isn't going to hit me. It will,
Sure.
like maybe
Even in long-term
once a year, a
sobriety.
couple times a year,
Yes.
the wind can blow this way and a song can play that way and I can get a whiff of something and the wind can blow. I could feel like a drink would be great, right? Like, oh,
Yep.
I kind of want a drink. I could get
Hmm.
that feeling. The thing is, I know I have the power of pause now,
Hmm.
and I know it doesn't ultimately bring me what I want. Now, I want to escape from pain. I want to feel more comfortable in my body. I want a social connector. Like, I want the things that I thought alcohol did for me,
Hmm.
but in the long run, it didn't. It didn't relax me. It spiked my anxiety, right? It didn't connect me in relationships. It was just shared escape. So it doesn't bring me what I want. And I always tease like, oh, I'll start drinking again. The minute I can figure out like if alcohol can do something for me that sobriety hasn't. If alcohol can actually help me in some way, I'm the first one back to wine. Sure. It can't and it won't. It
Hmm.
hasn't. Like my life has become so full, so big, so beautiful, so alive, so in color, so present that alcohol has nothing on me anymore. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
have healed
Hmm.
those things.
Hmm.
I have found other ways of for the reasons I went to alcohol. I can't think of one good thing it would do for me. So I found ways around it. So I don't desire it. And if you don't desire it, it's much easier to not have it, right?
Well, and I mean, even the NA space,
Yeah.
there's so many options. And you are
Yeah.
certainly somebody who is a connector and
Oh,
tries
yeah.
all of these new NA drinks that come out, or you'll
Yeah.
go to a restaurant and try things that are on the menu. And, you don't limit yourself.
Yeah. I say I didn't ditch the drink. I ditched the alcohol because no one's drinking more than me, to be honest. But I didn't do those in my first year of sobriety. I didn't have any alcohol-free alternatives because I wasn't sure how I would feel about that. And
Mhm.
so with my clients too, that is an individual journey and there's ways to test. And in fact, I had one client who was freaking out about a Valentine's Day and this alcohol-free champagne, and she was early in her sobriety journey. And finally, I said, why don't you just use pink lemonade? Have the glasses, have the rose petals, do the thing you're doing, but you're obsessing about this alcohol-free champagne like you would be obsessing about alcohol.
Hmm.
Your thinking
Hmm.
is already compulsive about this thing.
Yeah.
What if we made it pink lemonade and we just took that off the table for now and it like fixed everything for her? It was like, oh yeah, you know?
Ooh,
So it's if you're
permission. You gave her
yeah, if you're
permission.
just like, if you're concerned about trying that, then maybe not.
Yeah.
It's not a requirement for sobriety that you drink alcohol-free alternatives or you
Hmm.
get that NA beer. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Hmm.
And there might be a time or a season that it works for you, but if not, then don't. You don't have to at all. I mean, Diet Coke is freaking incredible, right? And I love a good Topo Chico. So like, how about coffee is awesome.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
other things to drink.
Well, and I love that you said you didn't ditch the drink. You ditched the alcohol because I still have a
Yeah.
drinking problem. I would go out for dinner and I have
Oh
six
yeah.
NA
Yes,
drinks,
for sure.
two
Yes.
waters, a
Yes.
seltzer, an NA beer.
Yes. At all times. Exactly. Same.
Well, I will put your website in the show notes, and you are also a resource in the back of myself. So
Mm,
I know that there are so many people who are going to benefit, whether they follow you on social media or read what you write or see the life that you live. I'm just so grateful that we connected and seriously have so much in common. And
yeah.
it was a sober person who brought us together. And I love those connections,
Me
especially.
too. And your book is so good and your movie is so good and you're a pioneer.
Thank
Kelly, you paved this path before me. So I thank you and every woman that went before me. You did it in a time where there was even less resources than I did it. And you have been one of the first brave ones to share your story out loud. And some of the things in your book, the themes, I'm not going to spoil anything, but they are themes of women in general and women that drink and why we drink and what we're trying to forget and ignore and hide and protect, right? We used alcohol for all those things, and it makes sense. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing, it all made sense. And so I'm proud of you for telling your story out loud because it allows others like me to come behind you and say, yeah, me too, and we're here. So thank you for your work. Thank you for spreading the word. Thank you for this podcast. And thank you for having me on and being my friend and support. I love you.
I love you too. And for everybody who's listening, just a friendly reminder to be the change that you wish to see in the world, whether it starts individually within your family, your community, or the world. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you for being here, Heather. Have a
Bye.
great day.